Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagini व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Chapter 15 is one of the two shortest chapters in the Bhagavad Gita with just 20 verses, but a very important and very profound chapter. It is considered the quintessence of the whole Gita. Not only the quintessence of the whole Gita, but the essence of the entire Vedas is compacted in these 20 verses. And Shankaracharya says, this chapter is the whole Gita in a nutshell. So, this chapter, the title is Purushottama Yoga. So it is going to introduce the supreme reality with this new word called Purushottamaha, which is none other than the Nirguna Neyam Brahma and Purushaha that we have seen in the earlier chapters. Purushanam Uttamaha iti Uttamaha Purushaha or Purushottamaha, the exalted being. Now the word Purushaha we have seen etymologically many times. Puri Shete iti Purushaha, the one who indwells this 11-gated body city, Purushaha. Then Purnat iti Purushaha. Purnat means it is of the nature of fullness, whole, it is the whole. Satchid Ananda Atma Swarupaha Purushaha. Then Pura iti Sarvam iti Purushaha, that which is all pervading like space, which fills up everything. Now, the previous chapter, 14th chapter we concluded recently, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga chapter, ended with Krishna saying, Brahmanaha hi pratisthaham amritasya avyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha. So Krishna says to Arjuna, Arjuna, I am the pratishtha. Pratishtha means I am the source, I am the basis, I am the support of everything. I am Shashvataha, that is eternal. Amritaha, that is imperishable, of anything in the world. I am the support of the whole world. Like even the number 1. You know, the number 1 before the trailing zeros is what will give value to the figure. So that is why Krishna says, Aham Pratishtha. So this chapter, as you know, is so important that it is often chanted in all the ashrams, especially in the north, before we take the Bhiksha. So the topics in this chapter are divided in this way. The first 3 verses are about Samsara Varnanam, about life, the tree of life or Jagat. Then a few verses on certain values, liberating values and attitudes. Then how did the Brahma, Purushottamaha, Neyam Brahma enter the Jivas, 7 to 11. Then how is the Sarvatma Bhavana to be understood as the all-pervading Tattvam in the Jagat, 12 to 15. Then who is really the Purushottama? We're going to see 2 Purushas, Kshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha and Purushottama. And then finally we have the Halashruti. So the one who gains the knowledge of the Purushottama, has the freedom. Now, this chapter is unique because it has borrowed a very famous metaphor of the tree, the vrikshaha, from the Kathopanishad and the Mundaka Upanishad, both of which we have studied. And in the Kathopanishad, Shankaracharya gives a very detailed description of the vriksha. And in the Mundaka also, we have seen that how there are two birds, Samsari bird and the Sakshi bird. Both are perched on the branch, which is the body. And the body is part of the world. Now, this description is there to awaken the Vairagyam. So, Shankaracharya says the one who understands every verse of this chapter and who can assimilate it will gain Purna Vairagyam, and the vision of the Upanishads will be very, very clear. Brahma Satyam and Jagat Mithya. So we have seen so many metaphors, is it not, for samsara, for the world? The world has been compared to as an unfathomable ocean, samsara sagaraha. And Meera Bhajan is so beautiful. She sings and she says, by the Guru Kripa, who has reversed my perception, the whole ocean has dried up. Where is the ocean? There is no intimidating ocean at all. So I have no fear of crossing it or drowning in the ocean. Then there is samsara agnihi, the fire that is roasting all the jivas. That also we see here and there. But again, the Shishyas say that by the cooling kataksham of the Guru and Guru Kripa and Shastra Kripa, the whole fire gets extinguished. Then we have seen also very famous analogy of the dream. How the samsara is likened to a swapna. And how the whole swapna is negated upon waking up. And so, for the wise person, there is no samsara vrikshaha. It is all negated. So, all these metaphors are pointing out only one thing. The intention is to point out the mithyatvam of this jagat. Nama, Rupa, Kriyatmakam, Jagat. So, we know that in the jagat there is variety, there is diversity, there is novelty. But is there stability? No. Jayate gacchati iti jagat. So the jagat is in a constant state of flux, and this objective reality that we see and that we are a part of, there is no absolute status for this jagat. So that is the main purpose of introducing all these metaphors. So the first three verses are about the samsara vrikshaha. So let us look at the first verse. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Urdhvamulamadha shakham Ashwatham prahuravyayam Chandamsi yasya parinani Yastam veda sa vedavit. Sri Krishna says, O Arjuna, Urdhvamulam Adaha shakham Ashwatham prahuhu avyayam Chandamsi yasya parinani Yaha tam veda saha vedavit. So here we find that Bhagavan says the whole, the world, that is the Jagat Kshetram, life can be likened to a tree because there are similarities. Now, what kind of tree? Ashwatha Vrikshaha. Now, Ashwatha Vrikshaha is the people tree. The people tree is, a huge tree belonging to the Ficus religiosa family. And it lives for many, decades and hundreds of years. But even after that, the tree will go back to the seed. And the seed will come back as the tree. This is called Nitya Pravaha. That is, there is a constant cyclic process about how the tree goes back to the seed and seed goes back to the tree. This is why the Jagat also, which goes through eternal cycles of Srishti, Sthiti and Laya, constantly changing, is compared to an Ashwataha Vrikshaha. Now, the word Ashwataha means Shvaha na tishtati iti Ashwataha. That which will not be here tomorrow. Yeah, that is called Ashwataha Vrikshaha. Now, when we, see the news every day, is it not bringing in shattering news of the changing situations and the world? So we can easily assimilate this fact that there is an unpredictability and change is the only constant about the world. This is why it is likened to an Ashwataha Vriksha. And another reason given is for the wise person who has awakened from this waking dream, from this mithya jagat, there is no tree. So the tree itself is not there for the jnanis. So for all these reasons, it is called Ashwataha Vriksha. And who is saying this? Prahuhu, the wise, or the Shastras like the Katho Upanishad. Then, what are the leaves of this tree? Now, what protects and sustains the whole tree? It's the foliage, the leaves. So what is that which sustains the tree of our life? What are the leaves? Chandamsi. So chandas are the meters of the Vedas. So here we have to understand as the whole Vedas in which we have the Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda. What are they all about? They're all guiding the jivas and the seekers in the fourfold purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And because of these pursuits, there are sadhanas to accomplish sadhyas. And that is what is sustaining the tree of life. Because when I'm conducting desire-based actions, then the actions are going to have drishtaphalam and adrishtaphalam. Visible results and invisible adrishtaphalam. Then the invisible result will result in papa phalam or punyam. And again, the balance papa and punyam is going to result in future janmas in which there are further actions and then one is caught up in this cycle. So this cycle of karma is what sustains the tree of life. And so Krishna says, Chandamsi yasya parinani. And who are the jivas? The jivas are all the jantus, the birds perched on this tree. And yaha tam veda saha vedavid. Now, one important thing here is the urdhva moolam. Moolam means root. Now we see a tree. The tree is huge, like a redwood tree or a peepal tree, But what is sustaining the tree? What is the strength of the tree? The roots. The roots are invisible under the ground. So in this samsara vrikshaha also, the urdhva moolam, who or what is the urdhva moolam, the root? That is the nirguna parabrahma, ishvaraha, jagat karanam. But what do I see? I see only karya prapancha. So the whole jagat is within the range of my perception. But the urdhva moolam is above. What is meant by above? It is not really an inverted tree. Yeah. Above here means that the root which sustains the tree of life is beyond time and space. It is ati sukshmam. It is aprameyaha. And it is not available for the pancha pramanas. Pratyaksha, anumanam, ityadi pramanas. No, it is not visible for my pramanas. No, pratyaksha. That is why Krishna says urdhva moolam. So just as the physical root of a physical plant is also underground and hidden, so too the Jagat Karanam, Ishvara is not visible and it is the timeless, spaceless, limitless reality, Urdhva Moolam, that sustains the tree of life. Then Yaha Tam Veda Saha Vedavid. So the one who not only knows the manifest Jagat, that is the Karya Prapancha, that is the whole tree with all the branches and flowers and fruits, but also the cause, the karana, Jagat Karanam is who? Vedavid. That one is the real knower. So in the earlier 13th chapter, we saw Kshetrajnaha. Same thing here. Kshetram janati iti kshetrajnaha. So the one who knows both, no, the root and the tree is the wise person. Now let's see the second shloka is going to elaborate the samsara vriksha. अधश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखाः गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके. In the Trishtuk meter, अधः च ऊर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखाः गुणप्रवृद्धाः विषयप्रवालाः अधः च मूलानि अनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि Manushya Loke. Now we come to the branches. Yeah. Now, just as a tree, a tree will have solid one major trunk and then many branches branching off. So what are the branches here? The branches here are spread above and below and in the middle of this huge, vast Ashwatha tree-like life, the world itself. So here the Shastras say that the branches are the lokas. And our Shastras talk about 7 up and 7 down. The higher Punyalokas, Svargalokas, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Tapaha, Janaha, Mahaha, Satyam. And then the nether worlds also. The lower, Narakalokas, Atala, Vitala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala, Ityadi. And the middle, Bhuloka is supposed to be in the middle. So these shakaha, the branches are where the birds are going to make their nest. So the jivas are inhabiting the lokas. And just in the previous chapter, we saw sattvastaha urdhvam gachanti, rajasaha madhye tishtanti, and tamasaha adho gachanti. So those who have a dominant sattva-guna, they will be perched on the higher Svargalokas. They inhabit the Punyalokas. And those who are attached to action, they are in the Bhuloka, the plane of action, Bhuloka. And those who are exceedingly tamasic, they inhabit the lower branches, Adho Lokas. And then here there is a Vishaya Pravalaha. Pravalaha are the tender shoots. You would have seen the branches, there'll be small shoots coming out. So those shoots are the sense objects. The world and all the social media, they constantly, manifesting desires in our mind. Oh, there is a new restaurant. Let me go and taste the cuisine there. New government has brought out new investments. Let me try to invest in them. Yeah. Where can I go to a new place for an exotic vacation? So all these Vishayaha are like the tender shoots, Pravalaha. And they get their nourishment from Gunas. Guna Pravriddhaha, Vishaya Pravalaha. We saw that in the earlier chapter, how the Gunas, they impel one to have certain desires. The desires will translate into karma, karma into karma phalam into drishta adrishta, papa punyam, and further janma. So this is how karmanubandhini manushya loke. One is caught in the cycle of samsara chakra or the bondage of action. Now, there is this game. I'm sure all of us have played this as a child. Yeah, and this is called Moksha Padam, snakes and ladders. Yeah, so we would have played this as a children. How the snake represents the Papa Punyam, which will drag us down into the nether worlds and the lower branches. And then we have the Punya-like ladder, which takes us to higher lokas. So this is the game, meant for entertainment, but this is the subtle meaning behind it. And so what are the jivas doing in this tree? So the jivas are like birds who are perched on some branch. either celestials in Swargaloka or asuras in the Adholokas or Manushas like us in the Madhyama Loka, and tasting the sweet and bitter fruits. Yeah, Mundaka Upanishad brings out this very, very tangibly. Now, so it looks like as though the jivas are hopelessly entangled in this samsara vrikshaha. But now the third shloka is going to tell us that how this tree can be cut. न रूपमस्येह ततोऽभलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा न रूपम अस्य इह तथा उपलभ्यते न अंतः न च आदिः न च संप्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा. Very important shloka here. So the first two lines in the third shloka, they are saying that this samsara vrikshaha, what is the rupam? Is there a form? Can I see the boundary? Where did it begin and where does it end? It's so huge. Narupamasya iha tatha upalabhyate. One cannot fathom when was I born into samsara and will it ever end? How many janmas were there before? How many later? Nobody knows. Yeah. So similarly, we cannot ask the question, when was my first birth or when did the universe begin? Modern science says universe began with the Big Bang some few billion years ago. But recently, the Nobel laureates, they made a discovery that the present multiverse has begun and continuing what was left behind in the previous cycle. So they're coming very close to the truth of the Upanishads. That after Pralaya, when the whole Jagat was, folded back into a seed-like state, and then in the next cycle, it comes forth as the Srishti. So this form cannot be said to have a beginning or an end, like a circle. If you see a circle that is already drawn, can you make out where is the starting point and where is the end? No. So that is the nature of Srishti. Continuously, eternally, going through the cycles. Na antaha nacha adihi. Now, nacha sampratishta. And now here Krishna says, even now, there is no stability in the world. Why? Because it is a Jagat Maya. It is magic. Now you take, a shirt. Now a shirt. What is really a shirt? When we inquire into the shirt, we will find that it is fabric. Then you inquire, what is fabric? Fabric is really the yarn that is stitched into a shirt. Then what is really yarn? The yarn is really molecules. Then molecules divided into atoms, then subatomics, then particles, then quarks, and then finally we come to energy, pure energy. And science also concludes that, energy. But for us, that energy is Maya, Trigunatmika Maya, which is Pancha Tanmatras. And the Tanmatras have manifested from the pure consciousness, Param Brahma. So at all these levels, you find only Namarupa, 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 Namarupa. Shirt is Namarupa, fabric is Namarupa, yarn is Namarupa, molecules are Namarupa, and so on. So what is the real Tattvam? Only pure consciousness, Satyam Brahma is the Tattva. Or you take the body. What is it that we call this body, physical body? So in medical science, they actually dissect, Let us do it cognitively. So the body is nothing but an aggregate of muscles and tissues, cells, organs. You take any one of them, again, you will find the breakdown into different parts and different functions. Then again, you break down, you come to the energy level. So this is why Krishna says, Nacha Sampratishta. This Jagat, on inquiry, you will find it has no solid, stable ground. It is magic. It is Maya. So that is why we give the name Mithya for the Jagat. Now, mithya is a very important word, which means the whole world is an appearance, but an appearance which can be negated on inquiry, just like the dream. On waking up, the whole dream, which was so real, gets negated. So too, on getting to know the Urdhva Moolam, the whole Jagat, Maya Jagat, gets negated cognitively. It is, of course, there, but there is no absolute status to this. Now, look at the last two words here, very important. Enam Ashwatham Suvirudha Moolam. So, this tree of life and the world appears so solid, so concrete, and so real. But just like an ordinary tree can be felled with an axe, or the chainsaw these days, it can be uprooted. This tree of life can also be uprooted and felled. How? Asanga shastrena dhridena chitva. By asangatvam, detachment, the acts of detachment. Now, the whole samsara vriksha, we have to ask the question, where is it really? Is it really outside of me? The answer is no. The whole samsara vriksha is in my mind. Because of the notion of I, this is me, and this is mine. And that ahankara in the waking state expands to the whole Jagat. And now I have a few families, and I have the country, I have my roles to play. But what happened to the world in the dream state and the deep sleep state? It's not there. The whole thing is folded back. And so here, Krishna says that this asanga shastrena is detachment, is how we can negate the samsara vriksha. And this negation is not a physical detachment. I don't have to run away from the world, give up family, possessions, and children and job. No. It is to understand that they're all mithya. They all have a role to play. So what money can do? Money can pay the bills. Money is very useful to pay for internet and brings comfort, conveniences. Relationships, what can they do? They bring also comfort, emotional stability in my life. The job, I get the paycheck, and again, it's very useful. But what can they not give me? They cannot give me permanence in terms of happiness, security, and peace. So the one who has understood this is detached. And asanga shastrena dhridena chitva. Now, this detached objective view, is this enough for felling the samsara vriksha? Not really, not enough. So in the next verse will show us what else needs to be done. Tatah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyaha tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravritti prasita purani. Tatah, thereafter, that is after one has followed a life of values and attitudes, pancha mahayajnas, and done satsangas, then tatpadam parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyaha tameva cha adyam purusham prapatye yatah pravrittihi prasita purani. So that word parimarganam is very important. Parimargana means one has to inquire, do parimarganam into tatpadam. And what is tatpadam? Urdhva Moolam, the Jagat Karanam. So may one do the inquiry of the Jagat Karanam, the Urdhva Moolam of the Samsara Vriksha. How will we do that? Guru Prapti and Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. So leading a virtuous life, being in satsanga is very important, having detachment and dispassion. But ultimately, one has to come to the Atma Vichara. That is meant here in the 4th shloka. Then that Adya Purusha means the Adi Guru, Sadashiva, the source from which the entire Pravritti has manifested. So the whole Jagat has manifested from whom or from what? That I have to surrender to that. So that word prapatye, and surrender in terms of having the jignasa, having the commitment. So aham adya purusham prapatye yataha pravritihi prasita purani. So I pursue this knowledge of the Paravidya by the grace of Guru and Shastra Kripa. And then what will happen? Yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyaha. One will not return again to the samsara vrikshaha. So the jiva bird will just fly off the samsara vrikshaha once one knows about not only the tree, that it is mithya, but also what is satyam brahma, that urdhva moolam satyam brahma. Now, in the fifth shloka, there are some values and attitudes mentioned. And in the Gita, we have seen some of them in 13th chapter, then 14. Now we're going to see in 15th and 16th and so on. So here, what are the values here? The means of liberation. Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sangyehi gacchantya mudha padamavyayam tat. So here the values are Nirmana moha, jita sanga doshaha, adhyatma nitya, vinivritta kamaha, dvandve vimuktaha, sukha dukkha sanyaihi, gachanti amudhaha, padam avyayam tat. So how does one, attain tat? Tat is referring to the moolam, urdhva moolam. So the urdhva moolam tat is how to attain that through all these virtues. First is nirmana moha. This is nothing but amanitva. That is without the self-pride, arrogance, and without the delusion, moha. The delusion is that the world is a source of happiness or dukkham, whereas it is really neither. The world is dreamlike. I am the cause of my own suffering and happiness. So when one is free from that, one is a nirmana mohaha. Then jita sanga doshaha, one who has overcome the defect of attachment, jita sanga dosha. All these we have seen in detail before also. So I'm going a little bit quicker here. Adhyatma nitya is the commitment to the pursuit of adhyatma vidya. That is shravanam. Then vinivritta kamaha, from whom the desires have departed. Vinivritta kamaha. Binding desires, naturally. Then dvandvehi vimuktaha sukha dukkha samnehi is one who is free from the polarities in life, the dvandvas. And dvandvas visit us always, sukham, dukkham, success, failure, heat, cold, and gain and loss. So this is all part of the polarities of, of the life on earth. But Krishna has already said, Tan titikshasva he bharata, may one endure the pairs of opposites and have titiksha, forbearance, and welcome both. Agati swagatam gachantam na nivarayet. So both I welcome with prasada buddhi. Then such people are amudhas. Amudha is no more deluded, and gachanti, they will go to that paramam padam. Now this avyayam paramam padam, is it a loka? One more loka like Vaikuntha, Kailasa, Goloka, Vrindavan? No. It's logical, because if it is a loka, then kshine punye punarapi mrit martya lokam vishanti. When the punya exhausts, I will have to return to a Manushya embodiment. So this Padam Avyayam is going to be described next. From shlokas 6 onwards. Very, very famous and important shlokas. Now, 6th shloka is Natad bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. This is a very famous shloka which is chanted at Arati time, and this is borrowed from this shloka from the Upanishads. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकं नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति. Now, these famous Arati mantras, what are they saying? No? This padam avyayam, this abode of Brahma, can these luminaries illuminate the sun, the moon, the stars, the lightning, the fire? No. Natad bhasayate suryaha. None of them can reveal that padam avyayam. Rather, it's the other way around. That Brahma Tattvam illumines my mind, and through the mind, then all these luminaries are revealed. So that avyayam padam is Jyotisham Jyotihi, the light of pure consciousness, self-shining, self-effulgent, and independently existing. Then again Krishna says, Yad gatva na nivartanti tadhama paramam mama. That is my dhama. My dhama means that is my abode, that state of pure awareness, pure consciousness. And gaining that knowledge, one will not return to the samsara vriksha. Now, in the 7th shloka, very, very important, Krishna is talking about how does, Bhagavan enter each one of us. Mame vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Mama eva amshaha jivaloke jivabhutaha sanatanaha. Manaha shashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Now, we'll just see the first line here. So, Krishna says that you take any jiva, can be Brahmadev, can be an ant, can be a dinosaur, can be a sheep, a sparrow, or a human being. All of you, you are my amsha. Now, amsha means a part, but not like, the jigsaw puzzle piece, not like that, but like the reflection. So, Ishvara's, chavi, Ishvara's glory or reflection is captured in the subtle mind. So, wherever there is a sukshma shariram, the mind, that will radiate Ishvara Tattvam. There is a reflected consciousness. And that is how Krishna says, Mama eva amshaha. So all the subtle shariram in whatever upadhi will shine, through this borrowed sentience. Now, what about insentient objects like a table and a stone? Do they also have Ishvara Tattvam? Yes. But because they don't have a mind, the mind cannot shine. So there is only the Sat aspect. All this we have covered in Tattva Bodha. The Sat aspect means pure existence. That is, the table exists, the rock exists, the mountain exists. They do not know that they are a table, rock, and mountain, but there is the pure existence, and that is Ishvara Tattva. So here, then the second line, Manaha Shashtan Indriyani Prakritisthani Karshit. Now Krishna is going to describe, what happens to the jiva when the prarabdha is over. This life, it's over. Then what happens to the jiva? And that is described here in the next few shlokas. From the second line of this shloka, Manaha Shashtani Indriyani Prakritisthani Karshati. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutramati ishvaraha grihitvaitani sanyati vayurgandhani vashayat. Again, a beautiful analogy is given here. That is, Krishna says that when the time is over, then Bhagavan, who is supervising everything as karma phaladata, will bring out the jiva. And the jiva travels. What really travels? The sukshma sharira, manas. So the manas is going to take with it the borrowed sentience, then the pancha jnanendriyani, karmendriyani, pranas, and then sthula shariram is left behind. Now, where will it go to? To the next body in the new environment. Yeah, that is the rebirth. And in the new environment, what happens? There will be a alignment, software, hardware alignment. Just like the software is plugged into the hardware, so the Sukshma Shariram will find a suitable body in a new environment and the Jiva Yatra continues. Then what happens to the previous body? Goes back to the nature. It is recycled. So this is what is told in shloka number 8 and 9. And in the new body again, Shrotram, Chakshus, Parshanam cha, Rasanam, Dhranam eva cha. So the mind enjoys the sense objects through the sense organs. Then 10 and 11 are talking about, are we able to perceive this? We can only perceive all this with the Jnana Chakshu. So Jnana Chakshushaha Pashyanti. So the wise person with the eye of knowledge, awakened through Shravanam and Mananam, will be able to understand, how the body is left behind because it is Thulam and the Sukshma travels to a new birth. Yeah. And the analogy given there is of a Vayu. Just as a wind, what does the wind do? It carries the scent. It carries the scent of, let's say, jasmine flower. But it does not carry the jasmine flower. The flower is left behind, Sthula Shariram. But the scent is Sukshma. And the Sukshma, is carried by the wind. So too, the wind of karma carries the Sukshma Shariram to the new location, to new birth, new parents, and they celebrate the birth. And so, Achetasaha na pashyanti. So those who have a gross body, a gross vision, gross drishti, they will not be able to understand the subtlety of this, of this event. Then from 12th onwards, 12th shloka onwards, Krishna describes the Sarvatma Bhavana. Yada dityagatam tejaha jagadbhasayatekhilam yachandramasi yachagno tattejo vidhi mamakam. Krishna says, Arjuna, that luminosity, that radiance you see in the sun and which is borrowed by the moon and which is there in the fire, fire and the lightning, mam vidhi mamakam. Know that to be my radiance. I am shining through these luminaries. Then what else? Gama vishyacha bhutani dharayamyaha mojasa pushnami chaushadi sarvaha somo bhutva rasatmakaha. Gam avishya. Gam is earth. So how the lunar rays, the moonlight enters the earth and it, makes everything succulent, rasatmakaha. The aushadhi, the foliage, that is the soma, power of soma rasa. So the soma, invigorates all the plants. That's why in Ayurveda treatment, sometimes the herbs for treatment will be kept overnight for the rays of the moon to give it the potency. So that's what Krishna is saying in 13th shloka. So I have, through the moon, I invigorate the herbs. And then I make the herbs succulent, rasatmakaha. And then, so Krishna is saying, I am in the form of food, aushadhayaha. Then I am also in the form of the eater. And that's the very famous shloka number 14. And which, if you cannot chant the whole chapter 15, then we must at least chant this shloka before meals. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritah Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. Now here Krishna says, Aham Vaishwanaraha Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritah Prana Apana Samayuktaha Pachami Annam Chaturvidham. Very interesting shloka here. So now Krishna says that who is the eater? The eater is the Jataragnihi, digestive fire. So we are offering annam. What kind of annam? Chaturvidham annam. So, food is divided into 4 types, Muruku variety is crunched. Then lehyam, pickles and honey will be sucked. And some will be drunk, like payasam and rasam, and some are chewed. So like that, Chaturvidham annam, pachami. Krishna says, you think you are eating? No. I, the digestive fire, I'm cooking the food for you in the stomach. So that is the Vaishvanaraha Agnihi. And in all the pranis, this is to be seen. And for that, I have to, have all the pranas, prana and apana. There is teamwork and the food is digested. Now, this is why this chapter is chanted, because the food is Ishvara, Bhagavan, eater is Bhagavan, eating is Bhagavan. Knower, known, knowledge, experiencer, experienced, and experience. And that is why, it is a very sacred act of eating. So we should not eat with gadgets and be distracted. We should eat with the hands and prayerfully, and chant all the mantras and cook it in a very pure manner, because it's being offered to Bhagavan in the form of Vaishvanaraha Agnihi. And then it's going to be assimilated into the mind and the body and so on. Now we come to the 15th shloka, which is the most important shloka of the entire chapter 15. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha mattasmriti jnanamapohanancha vedaisya sarvairahameva vedyah vedanta veda videva chaham. Sarvasya cha aham hridi sannivishtaha mattaha smritihi jnanam apohanah cha. Apohanam cha. Vedaihi cha sarvaihi ahameva vedyah vedanta veda with eva cha aham. So here Krishna says that I am in the hearts of all. Yeah, how? Krishna has already said that in chapter 13. Kshetratnyam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. O Arjuna, know me as the Kshetratnyaha in all the kshetrams. Same thing here. Sarvasya cha aham hridi sannivishtaha. I am so close. I am the Atma Tattvam. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastita. Chapter 10 also we have seen this. Krishna says the Vibhuti is so close. I am in your heart space, shining as the Atma. Then Krishna says, Mattaha, from me is alone everything. Whatever you do, whatever you see, Mattaha, from me. Smritihi jnanam apohanam cha. We just saw how Krishna, shines in our minds. Krishna Tattva. Then it is through the mind that we're going to gain knowledge. So knowledge is from Bhagavan. Then the mind is going to record information and put it in the Chittam database. So memory is also from Bhagavan. Jnanam is also Bhagavan. And also, when there are times when I lose memory, I forget names. Yeah. And that is also from Bhagavan. Bhagavan says here, so because of me, everything happens. I enable all the transactions, be it smritihi, be it, jnanam, and also forgetfulness. So what this means is that Bhagavan is a sakshi. The sakshi of what all I know and what all I don't know. What all I can remember and what all I've forgotten. It is by the grace of Bhagavan that we don't remember our previous lives. And also unfortunate traumatic events, will all be covered by an avaranam. That's the grace of Ishvara. So here, this famous shloka, Krishna says, know me as the sakshi, as the doer. I enable everything to be done. Then I am vedaihi cha sarvaihi ahameva vedyaha. I am the topic to be known, vedyaha, in all the shastras. I am the karma phaladata Ishvara in the karma kanda, but I am the sakshi drik in the jnana kanda. So whatever you follow, you are following me, you are praising me, I am the topic. Then Vedanta Krit and Vedavit. Vedanta Krit means Krishna says, I have initiated the Guru Parampara, the Sampradaya. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam. You know, this whole lineage has begun from me. I am Vedanta Krit. And also Vedavit. So Vedavit is both the student and the teacher. The student first gains knowledge from the teacher, then becomes a teacher. So I am in the form of the student who wants to know Vedanta, and I am in the form of the teacher who teaches Vedanta. So I am everything. I chant the shloka every day because it is so very important. Sarvasya chaham vidisannivishtaha mattasmiti jnanamapohanancha vedaischa sarvaihi ahameva vedyaha vedantakrit vedavit eva chaham. Now we come to the last shlokas. 16, 17, 18 talk about two Purushas. So let's see those shlokas here. Dvavimau Purushau Loke Sharakshakshara Eva cha Kshara Sarvani Bhutani Kutastokshara Uchyate Uttamah Purushastvanyah Paramatmeti Dafrataha Yo Lokatrayamavishya Bibhartyavyaya Ishvaraha. So here Krishna is talking about the two Purushas. Now, who are the two Purushas? Dvau Purushau are, one is called Kshara Purushaha and the other is Akshara Purusha. Now, Akshara, we should not get confused with the Akshara Parabrahma. No. Here, Kshara Purusha means that which changes. Now, the entire Kshetram, our bodies are part of the Kshetram. Do they change? Yes. So whatever is subject to change, Shadvikaras, so that is called a Kshara Purushaha. So this personality that we see, the role player, this is Kshara Purushaha, changing all the time. Balya Avastha, Kumara Avastha, Vriddha Avastha, and so on. So the manifest nature of matter that is Vyaktam, visible and tangible, is Kshara Purusha. Then what happens? That which was present as a huge tree has gone back to the seed. That is Akshara Purusha. In this context, in this chapter, Akshara Purusha is Avyaktam stage, the Maya stage, causal stage. Okay? So is it clear? These two Purushas, Kshara is Vyaktam, Akshara is Avyaktam. And both of them are Apara. Vyaktam will become Avyaktam, Avyaktam will come back to Vyaktam. So Kshara, Akshara will rotate through the three avasthas, Jagrat, Sapna, Sushupti, in the micro, macro stage of life. But then, who is Krishna really? And Krishna says, Anyaha, I am neither of the two. Now, look at this shloka. Uttamah Purushastvanyaha, Uttamaha Purushaha tu Anyaha. I am Paramatma iti udahritaha. And that Paramatma has done what? What is the job? Yaha lokatrayam avishya bibharthi avyaya ishvaraha. So that Uttama Purusha has pervaded all the jivas and sustains it, bibharthi, through the reflective sentience. Okay. So this is how the title of this chapter is explained. Look at this now, the slide. So Kshara Purushaha is Vyaktam, it is Apara, manifest universe, subject to time and space, conditioned. Akshara Purusha is when the whole manifest universe is withdrawn into the causal state. That is Maya, seed-like stage. And there we don't see any difference. When we're all asleep, all our individualities are blanketed. There is no gender, there is no roles, So that is why it is Akshara Purusha. But then Krishna says, who is Purushottamaha, Uttama Purushaha, is Para. Consciousness principle alone is Uttamaha. Now, the last two shlokas are about the Halam. The one who has understood the Urdhva Moolam as Purushottamaha, what is the gain? And that is the last two shlokas here. यो मामेवमसम्मूढः जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं स सर्वविद् भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदमुक्तं मया नघ एतद् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्यश्च भारत. O Bharata Arjuna, the one who is asammudaha, who knows me as the Purushottam, and Saha Sarvavid Bhajati Mam, and who worships me in his heart temple. And this is a Guhyatamam Shastram, secret sacred teachings. Secret sacred teachings, this has been given to you by me. So Krishna is saying, this chapter 15, which has the essence of the whole Vedas, it is Guhyatamam. It's a secret teachings. Why? Because we need the key to unlock it. And that is only with the Guru. And also, even if it is unlocked and given, there has to be a qualified student, a mature, qualified sadhana chatushtaya sampanna student to receive the jnanam. And that is why, for the majority of the people who are not seeking this knowledge, it will be a closed topic. But Shraddhavan Labate Jnanam. So the one who gains this knowledge, is a Asammudhaha. And he worships the Param Brahma in the heart temple. Now, we have already seen that is the Advaita Jnana Bhakti. But before that, we have to worship the Lord with Dvaita Bhakti. Purushottama, Ayodhya Rama, Venkateshwara, and all the Vithala. We have to have a Dvaita relationship, and then over time, the Dvaita Bhakti, that is Ishta Rupa Bhakti, will give way to the Nirguna Advaita Jnana Bhakti. And that is how this chapter concludes. Etad Buddhva Buddhiman Sya Kritakrityaha cha Bharata. So such a wise person is a fulfilled devotee, Kritakrityaha. And he's wise because he has my darshan in his or her own heart, and there is no more lack. He's never away from me. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Purushottama Yogo Nama Panchadashodhyayaha. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.